Oh, it's delicious, isn't it? The way you walked away without a tear, without a tear, without a backward glance. That confident stride of yours shattered the illusion they held of you as someone who would always stay. You left without hesitation, without regret. The walls they had built around their fragile egos crumbled in an instant because they didn't realize that you were capable of leaving, of disappearing from their lives without as much as a second thought. And that's the part that eats at them, the part that gnaws away at their pride, the part that shakes them to their core, because they had convinced themselves that you were different, that you needed them, that you couldn't live without them. But here you are, standing tall, walking away with the grace of someone who had been waiting for this moment far longer than they would ever know. The truth is, they never saw it coming. They were too focused on themselves, too wrapped up in their own self-importance to notice the shift in you. You were never the one who needed them, and deep down, you always knew that. But they had convinced themselves that you were the one who would bend to their will, the one who would stay when things got tough, the one who would endure the disrespect and the lies, the one who would always come back. But you didn't need them. You didn't need their approval. You didn't need their validation. You were always enough on your own, and that's what they never understood. That's what they refused to believe. When you walked away, you didn't do it for them. You did it for yourself. You did it because you realized your worth, your strength, your ability to stand on your own 2 feet. You walked away not because you had no choice, but because you had finally recognized that you had the power to take control of your life. You weren't bound to them, to their expectations, to their false promises. No, you were free. Free from the manipulation, free from the games they played, free from the toxic energy they tried to suffocate you with. And that freedom, it's intoxicating. It's like a fresh breath of air after being trapped in a room that was suffocating you. It's the realization that you no longer have to play by their rules, that you are no longer a pawn in their chess game. They couldn't see it, but you saw it all along. You see, the thing about people like them is that they thrive on control. They thrive on the idea that they can make you feel small, that they can make you feel insignificant, that they can convince you that without them, you are nothing. But the moment you walk away, the moment you turn your back on them, you shatter that illusion. You break the grip they had on you, and that is what hurts them the most. Not your absence, but the fact that they never thought you were capable of walking away. They thought they were the ones in control, but they were wrong. They were never in control. You always held the power. Now, as you walk away, you see their faces twisted with confusion, hurt, and rage. Their egos bruised beyond repair. The world they had built around themselves is crumbling because they never expected you to leave. They thought they were invincible, that their charm, their words, their manipulation would keep you tethered to them forever. But what they didn't realize is that you were never theirs to begin with. You were always your own, and as you leave behind not just them, but the version of yourself that they created in their minds. You are not the person they thought you were. You are not the person they wanted you to be. You are not the person they thought they could break. They will try to convince themselves that it doesn't matter, that they never needed you in the first place. But deep down, they know. They know that you are the one thing they could never replace. You were the one person who saw through their facade. You were the one person who didn't fall for their lies. You were the one who refused to play their game. And that is something they can never forgive. But you don't need their forgiveness. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You are enough on your own, and you always were. The fact that you were able to walk away without a second thought is proof of that. You didn't need them to complete you. You were already whole. They were just a distraction, a chapter in your story that has now come to an end. And now, as you walk away, you move towards something bigger, something better, something that's waiting for you. Because you know that the moment you let go of them, the moment you stop seeking their approval, you open the door to endless possibilities. You open the door to freedom. And that freedom, it's a gift that comes with the realization that you don't need anyone to define your worth, that you are not beholden to anyone's expectations, that you are strong enough to stand on your own, to make your own decisions, to write your own narrative. They may have thought they could control you, but you were always the one in charge of your own destiny. And now, as you step away from their world, you take control of your life. You take control of your future. You take control of your destiny. Their egos will try to rebuild, try to convince themselves that they are still important, still relevant, still capable of having an impact on you. But the truth is, they are nothing without your validation. They are nothing without your presence. And that, more than anything, will haunt them for the rest of their lives. They will never be able to forget the way you walked away, without a second thought, without a tear. That will be the moment that defines them. That will be the moment they realize that they were never in control of you. And that realization, it will eat away at them, slowly, painfully, until there's nothing left but a hollow shell of who they once were. But you will thrive. You will rise above. You will move forward because you know the truth. You know your worth. You know that you don't need anyone to make you feel whole. You are strong enough to stand alone, to face whatever comes next. And as you walk away, you leave behind not just the people who tried to control you, but the version of yourself that they thought they could break. You are reborn in that moment. You are free, and nothing will ever take that away from you. So walk away with your head held high. Walk away with the knowledge that you are in control of your own fate. Walk away knowing that you are stronger than they ever thought you could be. Walk away knowing that you are the one who holds the power and that nothing will ever change that. And when they look back, when they realize what they've lost, it will be too late, because you won't be there. You won't be there to pick up the pieces of their broken egos. You won't be there to fix what they destroyed. You won't be there to give them the validation they crave. No, you'll be gone. And that is the sweetest revenge of all. The most potent weapon you could ever wield is your absence. Your departure is not just a physical absence, it's a presence in itself. A reminder that no one is indispensable, that everyone's world can and will continue to spin without them. You know, they spent so long convincing themselves that they were irreplaceable, that without them, you would be nothing. But you are proof that they were wrong. Your life doesn't revolve around them. Your strength doesn't depend on their validation. And that truth is a dagger to their pride, one they can never pull out. You walk away, and they are left grasping at something they thought they could hold forever, like sand slipping through their fingers. The ego they built so carefully around themselves cracks. They can no longer deny the fact that they've lost something vital, something they took for granted. They believed that their words, their manipulation, their control over your emotions would keep you chained to them. They didn't realize that you were never theirs to possess. You were never meant to stay in their world of delusion, of toxicity, of fragile egos. And now that you're gone, you leave them with nothing but the echo of your absence. Their mind races, trying to make sense of the situation. They try to convince themselves that it doesn't matter, that your departure won't affect them, but deep inside, they are shaken. They are rattled to their core because they can't understand it. They can't understand how someone they thought they could break, someone they thought was weak, someone who needed them, could walk away without a second thought, without even so much as a glance back. They never thought you would be strong enough. They never believed that you would have the courage to step out of their shadow and break free from their manipulation. But here you are, thriving. The moment they see you walk away with that calm confidence, with that unwavering sense of purpose, it shatters their entire belief system, because they thought they knew you. They thought they understood your limits, your boundaries. They believed they had mastered you, but now they're left with nothing but the uncomfortable reality that you were never theirs to own. You were never a prisoner to their ego, never a subject to their whims. The psychological toll it takes on them is indescribable. They are trapped in their own thoughts, trapped in the labyrinth of their ego that is now crumbling around them. They were so certain that they could keep you in check, that you would always be there, that you would never have the strength to walk away. But you proved them wrong. You showed them that no matter how hard they tried to control you, no matter how much they gaslighted, manipulated, or belittled you, they could never break your spirit. You walked away, and in doing so, you became untouchable. You can almost feel their anger, can't you? It's palpable. But it's not just the anger that stirs within them. It's the deep-seated fear that you're gone for good, that you're never coming back. The fear that they have lost something that they will never, ever replace. For so long they believed they held all the cards, but now they're left with nothing but the remnants of their own arrogance. They underestimated you, and now they are paying the price. They thought that by keeping you close, by keeping you in a state of dependency, they could control your every move. But what they never understood is that they were dealing with someone who was always capable of standing on their own. They thought you were trapped in their world, but they never considered the possibility that you might want to escape. They never thought for a moment that you might look at the situation and realize that you deserve better, that you are worthy of more. The strength it took for you to walk away is something they can't comprehend. They will never understand the courage it takes to look at someone who has tried to break you and say, "No, I will no longer be a part of this. I am walking away." And what's even more unsettling for them is that you don't just walk away physically. You walk away emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. You leave behind not just your presence, but any trace of them in your mind. You free yourself completely from the emotional chains they tried to bind you with. Now, as they try to piece together the events, they will convince themselves that it's not a big deal. They will try to lie to themselves, saying that you were weak, that you were nothing without them, that you would come crawling back eventually. But what they don't know, what they refuse to accept, is that you are better off without them. You are stronger than they could ever imagine. You are more resilient than they ever gave you credit for, and you will rise. You will continue to evolve, continue to grow, while they remain stuck in their own egotistical mire, trying desperately to make sense of something they'll never understand. Their lives will never be the same. The illusion they built around themselves is gone, and the cracks are starting to show. They will look for someone to fill the void you left, but no one will ever be able to replace you. No one will ever make them feel the way you did. And in their desperation, they will try to manipulate someone else, try to control someone else, try to convince someone else to stay. But the truth is, they will always be haunted by your absence. They will never be able to escape the image of you walking away, with your head held high, with your dignity intact, with your soul unbroken. That image will haunt them for the rest of their lives, and you move forward. You built the life you've always deserved, the life you've always wanted. You put the pieces of yourself back together, stronger and wiser than before. You are free. Free from the manipulation. Free from the toxicity. Free from the lies. You are no longer shackled by someone else's expectations. You no longer carry the weight of their ego on your shoulders. You are finally able to breathe. Finally able to live your life on your own terms, without the constant pressure of having to please them, of having to meet their needs, of having to prove yourself to someone who never deserved your time in the first place. And as you step forward, you realize that this is just the beginning. This is not the end. You have been given a second chance at life, a chance to rediscover who you are, a chance to build a future that is all your own. The world is wide open, and you are no longer tethered to someone who tried to keep you small. You have the freedom to chase your dreams, to pursue your passions, to surround yourself with people who value you for who you truly are, not for who they want you to be. Your journey has just begun. You are not defined by the people who tried to break you. You are not defined by the people who thought they could control you. You are defined by your strength, your resilience, and your ability to walk away from something that was never meant for you. You are the author of your own story, and now you have the pen in your hand. No one can take that away from you. So, as they sit in the ruins of their own ego, struggling to put the pieces back together, you stand tall. You walk away with your head held high, knowing that you have done what so many could never do. You have freed yourself, and that is the greatest victory of all, the victory that they will never comprehend, no matter how hard they try. They will never understand the depth of the strength it took for you to walk away. They will never understand how you found the courage to rise above their manipulation, their arrogance, their lies. But that is not for them to understand. That victory is yours and yours alone. They can sit in their corner, nursing their bruised ego, but the truth is, their control over you was always an illusion. You were never trapped. You were always free. It just took you walking away for you to finally realize it. You see, they thought they could mold you into someone you weren't. They thought they could manipulate you, break you, convince you that your worth was tied to their approval. They thought that as long as they had you in their grasp, they could define who you were, what you did, and who you would become. But what they never anticipated was the power you held within yourself, the fire that burned quietly inside you, waiting for the moment it could ignite. They never saw it coming. They never realized that you were always the one in control. You just needed the courage to step away, to sever the chains they had so carefully wrapped around you. When you left, you didn't just leave behind a relationship, a connection, or a chapter. You left behind an entire world that was never meant for you. You left behind the expectations, the emotional manipulation, the silent demands, the empty promises. You freed yourself from a life that was draining, a life that held you hostage under the guise of love, care, and commitment. You walked away from a place where your value was diminished, where your thoughts and emotions were disregarded, where your heart was played with and trampled upon. And in doing so, you found the ultimate power, yourself. You rediscovered who you truly are, without the mask they wanted you to wear, without the chains they wanted to bind you with. And when you walk away, you take back control. You take back your life, your future, your peace of mind. It is not just about walking out of a toxic relationship or situation. It is about taking back what was always yours. The right to choose, the right to define your path, the right to say no to anything that no longer serves you. They never realized that you weren't a prisoner to their whims. You were simply a person who had been caught in their web of lies and manipulation. But the moment you saw through it, the moment you understood your own worth, everything shifted. And in that shift, You took control of your life in a way they never expected. You didn't need them to validate your existence. You didn't need them to tell you that you were worth something. You didn't need them to define you or tell you who you should be. You already knew. You always knew. Deep down, you understood that you were more than the limitations they tried to impose on you. You understood that your worth was never contingent on their approval. And when you walked away, you did so knowing that the power was always within you, waiting for you to realize it. They had made the mistake of thinking they could control you, of thinking that you would stay no matter how they treated you. But you, in your quiet strength, showed them the truth. You showed them that you were never going to be their pawn. Now, as you move forward, you are no longer looking behind you. You are no longer second-guessing your decision. You are no longer wondering if you did the right thing. The decision was never about them. It was about you. You did it for yourself. You did it for the person you know you are becoming. You did it because you were tired of being silenced, of being minimized, of being made to feel like you were not enough. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to shrink yourself to fit into a box they created for you. And now, you are free to grow, free to evolve, free to step into your true potential without fear or hesitation. The chains are gone, and you are limitless. They might try to convince themselves that your departure doesn't matter. They might try to say that they don't need you, that they are better off without you. But deep down, they will never be able to erase the fact that you were once the one person who saw them for who they truly were. You were the one who understood their darkness and yet chose to stay, chose to love them, chose to believe in them. You were the one who was strong enough to look beyond their flaws and love them anyway. But now, that person is gone, and with their departure, they will realize that no one will ever love them the way you did, with the same intensity, the same depth, the same devotion. The silence that follows your departure will haunt them. The empty spaces in their lives that once held your presence will become too loud, too noticeable. They will try to fill those spaces with new distractions, with other people, with temporary fixes, but nothing will ever fill the void that you left. The reason is simple. No one will ever truly understand them the way you did. No one will ever be able to see past their facade, past the layers of lies and manipulation in the way that you could. And now that you're gone, they will be left with themselves. They will have to confront the truth they tried so desperately to avoid. And that truth is that they will never find someone like you again. Not because they don't deserve it, but because they will never find someone who has the strength to walk away when things get toxic, when things get unhealthy, when things start to break them down. But for you, this is not about revenge. This is not about making them suffer. This is not about inflicting pain or teaching them a lesson. No, this is about you. This is about reclaiming your life, your worth, and your power. This is about moving forward into a future where you are not bound by anyone's expectations but your own. It's about shedding the weight of their emotional baggage and stepping into a version of yourself that is free, that is whole, that is unapologetically powerful. You will look back on this moment and realize that leaving was not a moment of weakness. It was a moment of clarity. It was a moment of strength. It was a decision that took courage and conviction, a decision to honor yourself, to put your well-being above all else. And when you think of them, when you think of the way they tried to keep you small, you won't feel anger. You won't feel resentment. You will feel pride. Pride in the person you've become. Pride in the strength it took to walk away. And you will know, deep in your heart, that no one, not even them, can ever take that from you, because you're enough. You always have been. And now, you will continue to rise, continue to shine, continue to show the world exactly who you are. And they They'll just have to watch from the sidelines as you thrive. In the end, walking away was not just an act of leaving, but an act of reclaiming your power. It was a declaration that you are worthy of respect, peace, and freedom. You don't need validation from those who tried to break you, because you've already found your strength within. As they remain caught in the remnants of their ego, you move forward, untethered and unstoppable. Your absence speaks louder than any words ever could, and in that silence, you have found your true victory. You are enough, and now the world will witness your rise.